All right, welcome everybody to another video. Today we are doing a everything but the quads focused day. Doesn't mean we're not gonna do any quads work. We are gonna get in a couple sets, but majority focus is gonna be hamstrings, adductors, and calves. A little bit of glutes as well. Glutes? Yeah, we'll get in some glute work. Not too much, just a little bit. But today we are starting with hamstring curls. By the way, this is my, what you could call it, leg day 2 within my split. I'm a little bit out of order right now, but just understand that as long as I get in all these workouts over the course of the week, I'm not too concerned about the absolute order, as long as there's a good amount of time between the exercises or the muscle groups that I'm trying to hit. So we're gonna hit legs today, tomorrow will be chest, and then we'll be back to back, then legs, then chest. Let's get right into it. I might need some help. Just a little bit too tight, but hey, it worked. Now, not adding any partials on that. Once we got to failure, done. I know I could have eked out a bunch more in this range right here. We have 4 sets to do of this, which I know, not 2 sets, crazy, but it's a hamstring focused day. This is a great exercise, so I'm gonna milk what I can out of it. So for our last set of this exercise, you will see me kind of throw all caution to the wind, because for this one, we don't have to worry about fatigue for the hamstrings for later on in the workout. I'll go pretty hard on this one. I guess you can watch me push a little bit harder on this set. I'm not saying this causes additional growth, I just like finishing off with a harder set. Okay. And that will be good for the hamstrings for today. So technically this is my hamstring focus day. Still only 4 sets total for the hamstrings, but you're gonna do other exercises, get the adductors. We are gonna do leg extensions next. So even though it's not a quad focus day, I still like to get in a little bit of work for the quads on this day, but no presses, just leg extensions. And then we'll move on to calves and glutes. 2 muscle groups that nobody really cares about, but sometimes you gotta do things you don't like. Oh, we're at a different gym. You might be asking, how did this happen? Let me tell you. So, we're minding our own business, filming in Planet Fitness, making sure to not have anybody in the background, doing our own thing. These 2 ladies come up to us from Planet Fitness desk and they're like, you know, you're not allowed to film here. And I'm like, well, no, I know the policy, you are allowed to. And she's like, no, it's policy, you're not allowed to film. And I'm like, no, it is. Like, and then there's like some limiting circumstances where you might not be allowed to for certain reasons. She's like, well, an old lady came up and started yelling at us that they were in the background. And I was like, no, we can show you the video. We showed them the video. No, nobody's in the background. It's just us. And they're like, well, they might be able to distinguish themselves in the background over there. We're talking like 4 pixels, like blurred in the background of a person walking like 30 meters away, and you could not tell anything. And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you're not allowed to film. It's policy. I'm like, okay. So I go to leave Planet Fitness, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna show them the policy, just so that like make them a better worker, you know? I was like, oh, no, the policy says right here, you are allowed to film, but from the sole discretion of the people who are like working there, they can decide whether you're not. I'm like, so it's you who's deciding that we're not allowed to film. I was a lot nicer than I am right now, but I was like, it's you that said we're not allowed to film, so it's your decision. It is not the company policy. I'm like, that's all I want to make clear here. It's you making this decision. Oh, well, you can call our district manager and you can talk to her. I'm like, okay, well, let's put her on the phone. And they're like, oh, but she won't answer. I was like, what do you mean she won't answer? Like, You're telling me that I have to call her? She won't, and she's gonna answer some random number that she has no idea who it's coming from, versus an actual Planet Fitness calling her about her job. She's not gonna answer when you call her, but she's gonna answer when I call her. I'm like, well, no, you can just call her and we'll get it sorted out. Oh, but she's not gonna answer. So like, I'll just give you her number. I'm like, okay, so you're just trying to get rid of me. I'm like, all right, that's fine. We'll go somewhere else. And here we are at Alpha Land. And we are going to cancel our membership at Planet Fitness because it is just becoming more of a hassle than anything else. Now, if you want to go to Planet Fitness, find machinery, everything else. And you know what? Like a lot of people say that I can't admit when I'm wrong. I am going to admit that I was wrong. The purple gym sucks. The purple gym is the worst. I hate the purple gym. Put it on my record. I hate the purple gym.
Loathe entirely.
Never frequenting there again, you know, unless it is convenient. But never again will I choose to go there if there is another option available. All right. All right. Next exercise, now that that's all said and done, we got leg extensions. We're gonna try a seatbelt today, see how it works. Not used the seatbelt for this exercise before, but I kind of want to feel how it feels. That is nice. Okay. Whoa. Not bad. Not bad. I might put the seatbelt. I kind of like that. We're gonna try another way the next time, but I felt pretty good. We're gonna try coming from the back. Gonna let the seatbelt. I was gonna make a joke there, but I shouldn't make that joke. All right, next set. We tried setting up the seatbelt in a different fashion, but I think this way is the best way. So we're just gonna stick with it. One thing I really like about this machine, come over here, let me show you something. This Prime machine, the way that it works is you can choose where the resistance profile is hardest.
That's what she said.
So my knees can often get uncomfortable when I load up the machine really heavy, take it all the way to the top, but this allows me to load it a little bit heavier in the bottom, a little bit lighter at the top, so I can still squeeze at the top without causing too much torque on the knees to a point where it gets uncomfortable. So it's really, really nice being able to make it a little bit heavier at the bottom and lighter at the top. But dang, that seatbelt, that's a game changer right there. I'm not saying you have to use that. I've seen other people use belts before to do it. I've actually never used it, but that's nice because then you're not getting pulled up off the seat. I'm gonna do that from now on. And on to the muscle group that I and many other bodybuilders have neglected for a very long time. Now, I have gotten every once in a while get into modes where I train calves very specifically for a period of time, but I always fall out of it. So I'm resolving right now to make sure that I train my calves on a consistent basis, both days. Both my quad day and this day, I'm gonna be training my calves. There's really only one thing you can do for these, and that is your calf raises. You could do seated with your bent knee, but that's more soleus, and even then, it's not a whole lot more soleus. So we're just gonna do this one exercise, and this is really all you need, is just a straight leg variation of a calf raise. You can do it plenty of places. You can do it standing, or you can do it seated, but as long as the legs are straight, you're gonna get all the growth that you need. And this is where a lot of people mess up. So all you really need is this straight leg calf machine. And one of the mistakes that people make with this is they start going with their calf raises. First off, they think they need super high reps. And then second, they focus all their attention at the short position. They're like, oh yeah, pump it out here. Oh, I'm failing, I can't reach my tiptoes anymore. Oh, okay, well, I guess we're done. But the majority of the growth for calves happens at the bottom of the movement. So that's where I spend the majority of my time. So I'm gonna spend a good amount of time in this stretch, then I'm gonna push up. But even if I can't make it all the way to my tiptoes, I really don't care. So I might go all the way to the tiptoes at the start just to tire myself out. But once that's done, once I'm no longer capable of going all the way to the top, I continue to go, even if it's only motion like this, I'm still okay with that because that's still getting plenty of tension and plenty of work for the calves. Do not be afraid to load up your calf machine real heavy, even if you don't feel like you're moving the weight enough. As long as there is at maybe, let's say, can't make the angle with my hands, but let's say you're dorsiflexed and you're able to get to maybe neutral, then you should be fine, right? Dorsiflex? Is that the right term? Dorsiflex? Dorsiflex is when your toes pointed back, right? If it's wrong, that'll be the second time today I've been wrong. Let's go for it. We need to make this a bit shorter. Let's do this. All right, adjust the feet a little bit. There we go. Oh, and I also hold in the bottom. So like 1, 2, 3, push. 1, 2, 3, 4, push. Okay. Yeah. We'll get in maybe 3 sets of that. Yeah, we'll do 3 sets today. The Ball Cruncher 3000. All right, we need to make this a little bit wider. A little bit wider. There we go. This is one of those exercises that is neglected by a lot of people, but highly underrated. Adductors really fill out the inside of the leg, and this is the only machine that I've found that really does adductors justice in terms of specific work. Well, this and other sus machines, obviously. If you want to develop your legs to the best of their abilities, you have to start focusing on different variables. And a lot of people, they develop their quads, they develop their hamstrings, they kind of neglect their calves, glutes, adductors, but we want to get as complete a package as possible. Now, my adductors grew a lot over the course of my last off season. If you take a look at the picture here versus here, you can see that the insides of my legs filled out a lot more. And that's something that I want to continue to work on. I want to continue to get more of that inner sweep. Obviously there's limits to it, but we definitely want to at least keep the gains that we had, if not build upon them. So the sus machine, don't avoid it. Make sure you throw it in, even if it's at the end of your workout or something like that, or on some random day when you're like, I got a little bit extra time. Do these, get your adductors nice and big and juicy. Watermelon crushers. Now we're actually gonna push on this. All right, let's do this. Okay. Now this prime machine, like that other one, is nice because you can load it heavier in the bottom and lighter at the top. And I'd prefer to have it a little bit heavier in the bottom and lighter as you get closer to the middle. You can still use other machines, obviously. I don't want anybody to think that, oh, I don't have that prime machine, therefore it's not gonna be effective or anything, but just having these variable resistance profiles can be helpful. So if you have the option to use it, absolutely do it. Do I have to restart? Oh, dang it. Now we are on to the glutes. By far the most boring of all the work that I do in an entire week, but it has to get done. So we're doing some short position work, which means that we're gonna band ourselves so that as we pull up, it gets harder as we get closer to the top. It'll drop off in profile as we get to the bottom, harder as we get to the top. Nice and simple, just a few bands, plate, and then we'll just go for it. Oh. Little saliva drop there. This one's always tough trying to figure out exactly where that line between form failure and using enough weight works. We're gonna get some juicy glutes after this. We're gonna get a few more sets of those in, probably 2 more sets of those in, but that's it. That's all we have for the leg day, or at least for this leg day. So we'll have to show you what the other leg day looks like, one that's more quad focused. But man, we have to stay focused. We have to stay focused because at this point in the game, for me, having lifted for as long as I have, having done this for as long as I have, gains are very minimal if you're not doing everything correctly. It gets harder and harder to make muscular progress the further you get into your natural lifting career. So I could coast, I could say, you know what, happy with where I'm at, let's just leave it, who cares? And a lot of you guys would just be like, oh yeah, good physique, whatever. But it's not the goal, right? We want to continue progressing, we want to continue to get better, and that's only going to happen if we keep those small details right for long periods of time. I think we're in a good spot right now. I was just taking a look at some pictures of me from last year at around this weight, and my body composition looks better at this weight than it did last year. So that's a surefire sign that you're putting on muscle. So I'm really, really happy with that. It was kind of nice because I saw those pictures, I was like, dang, I looked a lot fatter at the same body weight. So I was super happy about that. Maybe we'll throw them up here if they don't look too bad. But guys, glad you tuned in, and we will catch you with a push day next. TNF out.